No, but community is part of music. that's part of
No, but bro, a lot of people
culture.
see those numbers and they instinctively think that because those numbers are high, the music is good. That's not necessarily. There's no correlation there. You know what I mean?
Well,
I need to be able to make my own decisions.
that's the way you phrased it.
Leo nimepiga kamini, so tight hadi siketi chini. Mbona nimeiva hivi, figa fiti imejichora ndani ya mini. Mini, mimi na kamini. Mimi na kamini. Kazi yangu ni kuchokoza na jiji, vitu nilipewa nizifungie kwa nini? Terrorist nikiangusha pale IG, lights kulipuka Hiroshima na Nagasaki. Unanitaka utaezana na ubadi, naitwa Wambosi.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the 30% podcast. This is episode 135. We appreciate you guys for being with us, and the us that we are talking about is me, Sam, Are, and I'm joined by Afam. Afam, is my brother in crime.
In crime. Do you know that you and I are the least likely people to commit crimes?
I was just thinking about that. Like my brother in, what's the opposite of crime? My brother in goodwill. My brother in goodwill, Afam. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. I am having a great day today. Today is so amazing. Today's the best day ever in history. Actually, right? No day has surpassed today. Like, honestly, even people who have had amazing days, they don't even come close to what I'm experiencing.
It's a new level. It's new heights. It's new heights.
So anyway, aside from having
gold standard now.
Oh, yeah. Aside from having a phenomenally splendid day, I've been good. I've been chilling. Been watching a lot of content. Finally got around to watching Sinners. I hadn't watched Sinners before. I felt like I was the only person in the entire planet Earth who hadn't watched it. So finally gave it a go.
You and me.
It was a... Oh, you haven't watched it as well?
And I don't plan on watching it.
It's actually a really good movie, I can't lie. It's a good movie. My only problem is I feel like there was just so much hype around it. And the problem with hype is that you have very, very raised expectations, right?
Yeah.
So I wish I had gone into that movie not knowing anything and not having any expectations, because when I ended up actually watching the movie, like it could never live up to all the hype that was made over the internet, you know. People were like talking about, I need to go in to watch the movie the fifth time, like this and that and the third time. And I was like,
oh my god, how long is the movie?
Bro, it's like 2 hours, man. So me, I was just like,
10 hours.
I was like, bruh, this movie must be phenomenal, which it is. It's just that people made it out to be like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But it's a really good movie, so shout out to them over there. And then also, Sam, I've been watching the greatest show in existence at the moment, and it is called Love Island. So I am locked in to Love
you have
Island.
To stop saying that.
Those of you who
you have to stop saying
those
Love
of you
Island is the
who
greatest
know,
show. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's the greatest and most entertaining show on television right now.
That's not true.
So I've been watching that, locked in. For those of you who are watching the UK one, it started off bumpy, but everybody who knows episode 7 was fire. I don't know why Megan is tripping the way she is. The real ones know what I'm talking about. I don't know if we want to shout out Megan. So let's not shout out Megan. But anyway, aside from that, I've been listening to a bunch of music. And I've recently kicked off or restarted my TikTok series, which is pretty cool. I'm really excited about it. It's giving me a new reason to get back into artist discovery and finding new artists, which is really fun. How about you, man? What you been up to?
My week was okay. Uneventful, as you would imagine. Didn't do much. I've been prepping for a beat camp that I am going for soon. So that's a little bit exciting. A little bit of excitement in my life. It's been cold. It's been cold in this Nairobi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 blanket season now. Oh, it's going to get the warmer ones. It's going to get the warmer ones, stacking them up, and yeah, toasting myself in there. Apart from that, there's the state of the nation and just what's been going on, and that's kind of been that as it's been really annoying and heavy.
Yeah.
With what's happening, it's just I don't want to get into it, but yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. So it's been trying to figure that out,
man.
But yeah. But apart from that,
yeah. No, I was just gonna say on that note, like, rest in peace to Alberto Joang. That whole situation is really messed up, and the fact that our government think we are dumb enough to feed into the lies that they give us. But
I'm just going to get mad.
Yeah,
I'm going to get
but ultimately. No, I was just gonna say. Ultimately, I hope everybody who's going outside, like, to march and everything, is safe. But then how safe can you be with a government
when the people who are supposed to be protecting you are the ones who are putting you in harm's
shooting
way.
live bullets into the crowds?
Anyway.
So it's a freaking crazy time we live in, bro.
It is. It's ridiculous. But apart from that, we just keep the nations in our prayers.
Yeah.
And do what you can to help your brother, your sister, your mother, your father. Yeah.
Agreed, bro.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, man.
To you, Afam.
I don't have any children
that we know of.
That's I don't know why is this even going into this direction.
Sorry, my bad.
This is so weird.
Just trying to lighten the mood. My bad. Sorry.
But anyway, happy Father's Day to all of those who celebrate. So I wanted to talk about this situation that's been happening with Stoopid Boy. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but he recently got out of rehab. I guess he got into rehab because he had an alcohol addiction, which is super unfortunate. And I was really happy to see him go into rehab and try and better his life. You know what I mean? So he did, and he got out, and recently he was doing an interview at a radio station and kind of just talking about his experience within the rehab center. And he had a lot of stuff to say, some of them being, the only thing that is kind of come out of the rehab situation with is paranoia, depression, feeling like he's being used. I think one of the reasons he said he felt as though he'd been used is because they wanted to do like some promo for the rehabilitation center itself. Because, Stoopid Boy is a personality in the scene. So I guess that's one thing. There's also the whole situation with Oga Obina, who took an interest in him and tried to kind of help his situation. And he also sneaked this as Oga Obina. He was doing like a freestyle for one of the songs that he has coming out. And the situation is kind of like murky because Oga Obina says he's been trying to help, been trying to get him job opportunities like at his studio, as well as, funding like his music videos. Apparently just the day before, like, he had funded like for a music video and stuff like that. But it is unfortunate to see. Stoopid Boy had a really massive 2024, especially because of his hit song Jibag Najat. That shit just went crazy. I believe we even played it on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What do you think? I mean, ultimately, we can only hope that he gets better. You know what I mean? We don't want him to relapse and stuff like that. How do you feel about this whole situation? Because me personally, I think it's a bit unfortunate to see like one of our most talented, like, prospects, kind of dealing with a difficult time.
Yeah. It's something that I think we've seen in the industry, of people who get into a place where they can't control where they can't control the substances or the substances that they're using, or it overwhelms them and up to the point where they need help. And like I'm saying, we've seen it quite a bit. You can only hope. I mean, it's a very personal thing, so we can't really tell what's going on there. We're just looking from the outside. But it's good that he has at least tried to get help. I want to say I do not agree with. Like, we really need to be, especially when it comes to things to do with. I mean, when it comes to the topic of mental health, we really need to be very intentional with our words, because someone like him who has a little bit of light on him, people, if there's someone who's looking at him and he says that rehab, is not very beneficial, that can affect whether or not they decide to do it if they need it. And I think it's a very dangerous message, because rehab does help. Just coming from that line of work in terms of psychology, rehab does help, and there's people who have really gotten help. So it's not fair to put that blanket over everything, and I think that doesn't help. But it's good that at least he's getting help. Hopefully he continues to recover. Hopefully that the different things that are going on in his head, that he gets help for that, and he gets back to his self-making music.
But yeah, I mean, I think one positive we can take from this is at least it's a conversation. I think mental health within the music industry is something that needs to be talked about more proactively. And I don't know, is it that like creatives are extremely sensitive to the world around them? And is that why there seems to be like a high amount of or a large amount of these type of cases? Also with substance abuse within the scene, within the music industry, is there? Do you think there's a correlation with creatives and going down this path? But then also, I'd just like to say, this is something that needs to be talked about more. Having been in the industry for a while, it's something that, just mental health is something that even I have gone through as well. Being a creative is a very difficult path. A lot of times it feels very lonely. And I see how sometimes people end up, getting unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And I don't know, have you experienced any like barriers yourself? Have you observed it in your time in the industry as well?
Well, yeah, I think for me the major thing that has really come out is anxiety, especially performance anxiety, where situations where you're in the studio with, it's a lot better now, but then situations where I'm in the studio with...
Oh, those are the worst ones. Oh my God. Sorry.
No, yeah, situations where I'm in the studio and you have to perform, and at the end of this session that a track has to be made and like the song has to be finished, and you're sitting there like, oh my, and it plays into a lot of self-doubt and self-sabotage a lot as well. Like those things work hand in hand. They're all criminals, villains of the creative mind. But so it's something that I think I've gone through for quite a bit. There's times where I'm able to handle it, like how to cope, and there's different ways you can go about that. And then there's other times where it's slightly overwhelming, but then you still have to get it done. And that's partly what I've learned about anxiety, is the cure to anxiety is found in actually getting through it. It's not necessarily sitting around and wishing it away. And so that kind of helps, especially with the performance anxiety. Like, how do you get over that? Is you do the thing and you do the thing and you rely on what you know and all of that. But separate from that, the other question you had asked, I think it's twofold. I think it's something that we've talked about ever since psychology and the mental health started becoming like a real topic in the public square, is this stigmatization of mental health deficiencies. And like, if someone is going through something, especially men, we're encouraged to hold it in and keep it in and figure a way out of it. And that then leads to different coping mechanisms if you're not able to properly go about solving that problem. And so one of the ways that happens in the music industry is through substances. And then people then end up abusing those because they have not learned how to cope and they don't know what the boundaries are. They've not set boundaries.
Wait, I need to interject here, and especially like with in relation to the performance anxiety point that you raised.
Yeah.
I've been in studio with artists who feel that they have to be on certain substances in order to deliver a good performance.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been in the studio with someone who's like, yo, no, I have to smoke up before I record, or I have to drink a little bit before I record. And by the way, this isn't me passing judgment on them for doing that. I'm just saying, a lot of times you see people using these as crutches, because they feel like, or sometimes artists feel like, oh my God, like when I did that recording and I was I was tipsy, like I did something so cool, so now I have to do that
so
over and over again.
Yeah, and I won't be able to recreate it without
so I can recreate that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And then that's how you end up becoming, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
those are some of those things like attached to perform, because that pressure is intense. Like I know exactly what Sam is saying. Like being in a studio and you have to deliver. It's a really scary feeling, especially when you have to do something where you're kind of like you've been thrown in the deep end, and it's like swim, and it's like, wow, I've never done this before. Like that sink or swim, that feeling is so intense. So I see how some people can end up having negative coping mechanisms. But sorry, I interrupted you. You were saying.
So I was just saying. So that's one aspect, is you're not able to cope and you don't understand your boundaries and all that, and you feel like you need that, so you end up doing it. I think the second reason that creatives tend to gravitate towards substance abuse is there's a culture about it. There's just a culture about it where you, like you said, people feel like they're their best creative they're their best creative selves when they're high on something. And I mean, for me, so I would challenge that. Is I think sometimes you just haven't tried to create without that stuff, without whatever it is. And you might be pleasantly surprised to see what comes out of a session without. But I think it's just a culture. I think there's a culture of substance abuse, and that isn't talked as much because sometimes the creative scene tends to make it seem cool that this is what's happening. But then the problem with that is it never addresses the possibilities of it turning into a bad thing for the individual. Because when you're going through that thing,
for sure,
when you're in community and you're all having a blast and everything, and you're creating and you're doing everything that you think you should be doing, it seems fine. But then when you have to face the consequences of not being able to control yourself, that's a very lonely road. So it's really important, I think, to remember as creatives, just to manage your environment and try and see what's best for your creativity, and not only just in the short term, but then also in the long term. But yeah, I mean, this thing could go it could go really deep.
Yeah, but talking about Stoopid Boy though, I don't know what the circumstances behind his alcohol use is.
Yeah.
And ultimately we can only hope for the best, because like we said, he is a very, very talented individual. And he has the ability clearly to create really, really compelling music. So we can only hope for the best for him. I think our industry really stands to gain by having somebody so dynamic. So let's see how that situation goes. On the topic of mental health, I don't know if you saw Spotify kind of did the thing where you couldn't see monthly listeners, which apparently some ended up being a glitch. I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical. It could have been a test. I don't know, but people say that it's a glitch.
Always take these things with a grain of salt, I guess.
With a grain of salt. But the reason why I've attached this to mental health is because Russ kind of talked about this whole situation a few weeks ago, where he said, a lot of artists get really affected by the numbers, the game, the competition, and it becomes less about the music and more about popularity, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, bro, at what point is it going to be about the music, right? And he's like giving examples of Apple Music where you don't see all that information. And he's like, there it's just about the music. Whereas on Spotify, it's about monthly listeners, how many streams you have. And we both know, like, when it comes to the music industry, numbers are highly manipulatable. Is that a word? They can be manipulated.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know. So in terms of whether or not you think Spotify should actually make not seeing monthly listeners a thing, do you agree with that? Do you think that's going to be a positive for the industry, or should the status quo kind of remain the same?
I think it should remain the same. My reference point for this is, I think they did the same thing on Instagram, but then there's a difference between that social media and Spotify. I think Spotify is music and Spotify is a music business. And metrics are important in any business, and numbers are partly how we that's how we see progress. It's how we see progress. It's how we see worth and value. Value is a better term, not worth. Value in the music business. So I don't think it's the same thing. I think we need to see how many monthly listeners someone has, or rather, let me say the person's team. We don't need to see it. I don't think it helps. It just helps in terms of community, so you know how many people are like the same music you like. But then for the artist and their team, they need to see those numbers so that it can, fuel the decisions they make in terms of growth and scaling and
But my argument is, though, like, that whole stuff is just like, Sam, we know that even the whole metric of Spotify monthly listeners is kind of like erroneous, in the sense that you could listen to a song for 30 to 45 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And never listen to that song ever again, never interact with that artist ever again, yet you end up being categorized as a monthly listener. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of ways those numbers kind of don't really reflect what
real life
is actually happening on the ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when something can be manipulated like that, and used to leverage different things, it kind of calls into question the integrity of the whole system. I feel like maybe if the way a monthly listener was defined or determined was different, then maybe I would be more behind it. Like if you could create a profile of an individual who went back to listen to artist X 10 times and did so twice a week for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, then I'd be like, okay, fine. That's a monthly listener, right? But if it's just somebody
someone who put their phone on shuffle and then had to walk out of the room and your song came on.
Exactly.
They didn't even know your song was playing, but
exactly. That's not a monthly listener. You know what I mean? And I do agree with the whole mental health thing, because a lot of artists like really do compare themselves to each other or other artists that they aspire to be. And it becomes so demoralizing when you see other artists have these huge inflated numbers and you're like, wow, how will I ever get to that level? Another thing that I disagree with the whole monthly listeners concept is that it encourages sheep mentality. And I know this because I've done it before, where you go on a profile and you see, oh, this person has 10 million monthly listeners.
Yeah.
They must be nice. No, I need to make that determination for myself, Sam. I need to listen to the music and determine whether that music is good music.
But music is community, and a lot of people of music. That's part of.
No, but bro, a lot of people see those numbers and they instinctively think that because those numbers are high, the music is good. That's not necessarily. There's no correlation there. You know what I mean? I need to be able to make my own decisions.
That's the way you phrased it. There's community in music, and first off, not all the style. Like when just going back to the previous point before I come to this one, when you talk about what is your previous point? Like listening,
mental health.
Listening to music for like 30 seconds and then it counting towards your monthly listeners, right? Not all statistics are always going to be 100%. So we have to allow for those abnormalities and irregularities. But in this whole, I mean, I guess I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, sometimes we go and click on a song because, but like you're talking about Sinners. Isn't it partly hype that got you to go and watch that movie? It's what other people said about it. So that makes sense. That I do agree with you on that point. I still feel like numbers have more to do with business than anything. They should they should do. They should create a thing where you can turn it off for yourself.
Yeah, so that's essentially what Instagram have done. Yeah. So you can turn off your likes or not. So yeah, maybe they should play around with those ideas. Would I turn them off?
No.
Would you turn them off?
Would I turn them off? No, because I would want to learn how to not care about my numbers in relation to other people's numbers. Like I want my numbers to be my numbers. And use those for the right reasons, for the team and growth, and not, oh, look, this artist is making the same type of music as I am, or they're not making, why are they doing better? That's just that's extra stress you're giving yourself. Like, stop looking at people's numbers in that way. It's difficult, but you have to stop. That's partly the problem. It's how we are looking at people's numbers. But yeah.
Anyway, me, you know where I stand, because bro, those numbers can be manipulated so easily. Yeah. So
you're just jaded.
Well, maybe more people need to kind of put numbers or remove them or dethrone them from the pedestals that they put them on. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because I think it will be difficult though, because numbers these days are sales.
Because you see, Sam, you understand that these. Yeah, but Sam, you understand that these numbers could be manipulated. So for you seeing those numbers, it's like, it's fine. Other people really buy into those numbers. You know what I mean? And really believe that those numbers are real life.
Yeah.
And a lot of times
it's inflated. It's just like
it's a bottle.
If you go to your favorite if you go to your favorite Instagram influencer, if you're into that kind of thing, you go to your Instagram influencer, like the really popular ones, the ones with like tens of millions of followers, and you actually scroll down through their followers, you'd see numerous times where followers have been duplicated. So I think that might be happening as well in the streaming industry, where they're just counting one guy 5 times.
Bro. Listen, there are high level artists who rely on bots, like for streams. Bot like us, that was a thing. Anyway, let's not get touchy.
Let's not go back there, please. That was last year.
Sam and I have had numerous back and forth.
No, because you're being annoying and you're just rage baiting, and it's
I'm not rage baiting. I'm really presenting facts to the table.
You're presenting facts the way you see them. That's not. Anyway, I'm not going to start fighting with you.
Do you want to talk about the? Do you want to talk about the next topic that is actually rage baiting me?
Let's get into Afam is mad. Let's get into a Billboard. So if you know about the Billboard platform, Billboard is what is it? Is it an organization? What is Billboard actually? Is it the company that
it's a company, it's a blog, it's a magazine. It's just it's just the best thing ever.
Yeah, so they're responsible for the Billboard Hot 100, the Billboard 100, which is it's a metric that labels use a lot in terms of considering administrating their artists, if that makes sense. And some good news has come from Billboard. They will be launching the Billboard Africa platform, or news platform per se. But then I guess it's going to have a few more perks in there. And it's pretty cool. It's a platform dedicated to celebrating and supporting Africa's music and entertainment ecosystem. There's been a lot of talks about Africa being like the new destination of music in terms of just the direction and what we've been doing and trying to adopt that. So, the aim is to raise the visibility of African artists while also laying the foundation for sustainable music industry infrastructure, which is pretty important. Billboard Africa will serve as a hub for African music and culture, featuring editorial content, charts, breaking news, videos, interviews, and exclusive events. And then the founding editor was also named the founding editor of Billboard Africa, which will be Nkosiati Kumalo. I hope I pronounced that right. So this is pretty cool. We know Billboard to be pretty influential in terms of like music in the West and just what labels are doing and all that. So it'd be good to see what that does here in Africa. How are you processing this?
Billboard are a big reason why all these games get played, because Billboard, they create the charts and stuff like that. But I do like, but it's true though. Yeah. It's true. I do like the fact that they document and they give articles, interviews, and that stuff. That's amazing. For that side of things, I really love Billboard because it's also a really big source of news and just industry information.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, when we talk about the charts and everything, you know how I feel about the numbers and like all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I am happy that Billboard are doing this and expanding into Africa. Generally think this is needed, and I think they said that what is going to happen is it's going to serve as a hub for African music and culture, feature editorial content, charts, breaking news, videos, interviews, and exclusive events. And these are all things that are super important in terms of documenting the African scene. Now, here's the thing though. I do have I am happy, yes, but I do have mixed feelings. We've talked about the fact that Africa is the next frontier, and therefore this really makes sense that this is happening. The music industry is in a bit of a difficult situation where streaming has been a thing and has been growing at a high rate, but unfortunately, not even unfortunately, but it's slowing down, and that's kind of expected of anything, right? And we've talked about the fact that the music industry is going to shift its eyes towards Africa, because Africa is a very, very undeveloped place when it comes to music streaming and the music industry in general. And because there is nothing new outside of streaming, like nobody knows what the next thing after streaming is going to be. So since we're still sticking to streaming as the main revenue generator for the music industry, they're going to have to get crafty and figure out how to make it profitable in Africa, because it's such a huge facet of the music industry. So for that reason, Sam, the reason why I do feel a little bit bittersweet about this moment is because there's an element of Billboard and the music industry in general looking towards Africa, not because they always wanted to, but because they kind of need to. Because Sam, honestly, there's no way in 2025, I'm talking about 2002, 2000, I can't even count. 2025 years. Yes, there's no reason why 2025 years after the death of Jesus Christ, this is when you want to tell me that they are able to count numbers and do journalism in the African continent.
Maybe Africa needs a billboard. And even it's also they just started trying to figure out the African Grammys as well, after years and years and years of them having Grammys in other locations. I don't know, man. Hey, listen.
It's a very sobering like experience when you see how sidelined, even maligned Africa is in the general like conversation. Bro, this should be something that should have been introduced. Even we could even say in 2010 or something. Even then, that would be so late to start introducing some of these things. For Billboard Africa, like to be a thing in 2025, like properly, like that's just crazy to me, man.
I mean, the Grammys,
like,
on there, what
60 does not make sense.
60 what iteration? Like it's been happening for years. At some point, they should have figured out that maybe
they really should have, and it's crazy, and it's just really frustrating. Like honestly, like we should take these opportunities and run with them for sure, like 100%. It's just frustrating that we're always kind of like a afterthought for some of these things, and that kind of makes me a little bit, not kind of, it makes me quite uncomfortable when I have these realizations. And another concern, but I do hope it's not going to be a concern, but I do hope that they do a good job in terms of documenting what happens within the continent. Because I have a worry that the access to the data that they'll have might be restricted to some of the hotspots within Africa, such as like West Africa, South Africa, and maybe a little bit of East Africa. But I hope that they're able to gather. Well, yes, and North Africa, because it's part of MENA. But like, I hope that they'll be able to really, really, really like get all the data that kind of shows a representative picture of what people are actually listening to in Africa and what needs to be highlighted, because a lot of times the songs that they might end up just highlighting might just be from the Nigerias or the South Africas, where the music industry is a little bit more developed. But that's not the real picture. There might be music that's doing really well, but not consumed in the way music is consumed within the West, which is through streaming and whatever. And some of these more definable forms of media. And what I mean by that is like, in Kenya, for example, a lot of people listen to music in matatus and stuff like that. How would they count that impact in terms, you know what I mean? Because like matatus, they don't really rely on like radio, so it's not radio. These are mixes that are going into these mats and stuff like that. How are they gonna count like what's actually being consumed like on the ground, like for real?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I do hope that they'll be a bit astute in terms of like actually getting the data we need. I saw a bit of a worrying sign on their Instagram because they created like a new Instagram page, and they put the hashtag Afrobeats, hashtag Amapiano. Like that's all that's listened to in Africa. That's a bit worrying.
Those are the only two genres we have in Africa. It's Amapiano and Afrobeats. Yeah. They're right, definitely.
Sam, that's all we listen to, man. No, Sam, that's actually all we listen to.
Starting out on a good foot.
Sam, bongo flavor.
No.
Who cares about that?
I've never heard.
Gengetone?
Never heard of such. Never heard of such.
Never heard that shit.
Yeah, it doesn't
Lingala.
exist.
Nah, that doesn't exist, man. That's not even. That's
in 2025.
That's not even a sound.
No, it's just Afrobeats and Amapiano in 2025.
Yeah.
I do think that it's so on one thing. It's a really short point. I think with things like the charts, it would help if they get it right. That is, like, it would help bring exposure to some of the artists that wouldn't ordinarily have that exposure, because then more eyes would be looking at those charts to see. Then the charts become a thing, right? So that would be a good that could be a good avenue for discovery of music. My instinct tells me that they're probably going to look to the more predictable sources of information, which will be Spotify and Apple Music and probably like YouTube and all the other DSPs, because that's a consistent way of knowing what's happening. And that obviously leaves out.
Sorry to interrupt, but those are things that were introduced into our continent not too long ago.
Exactly.
And so not everybody has access to them.
Yeah, that's going to leave out a huge chunk of what happens. But maybe they have a plan. I don't know. We would say, I guess we just have to wait and see what it looks like when they actually get started. But yeah, that's cool. That should be beneficial to artists. Something else that
speaking of things that will be beneficial to artists.
Oh, you just had to. My bad. Sorry, I should have let you do your segue. No, but yes, the most used. I don't know what's the term now. The most used artist music discovering platform. I don't know why it's not coming out the way I wanted to come out, like how it's sounding in my head. TikTok is rolling out a TikTok for artists. Now artists know what that is. There's a Spotify for artists, Apple Music for artists, and apparently Amazon Music for artists. This is where the artists can take control of their profile, create profiles, and then they go behind the hood and look at analytics and all of that business. So TikTok is rolling that out. And I think it was June 3rd that they announced this. And TikTok being a platform which is really good for music discovery, I think this will really benefit artists, because then you're able to see what's happening and where your music is being streamed and all of that. I mean, it offers, those are the offerings, is insight to your music, demographics, and all the stuff that's important in terms of knowing how to market your music and where to push it. So TikTok for artists. This is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool. TikTok has actually been doing a bunch of interesting initiatives to benefit the artist, and this being the latest one, I think is really people forward. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think it's very interesting. This is one of the more interesting things that have come out this year. I think for me, the most interesting thing is how your music is being consumed on the platform, even more than the numbers. Like it's the how. I think for me, if I was an artist or artist manager, that's kind of the thing I'd focus on most, because TikTok is a bit of like it's just an interesting platform, because there's just so many different ways in which music is used. and consumed. There's the people who create skits, there's the people who make dances, there's the duets, there's the interesting trends. Sometimes it's used in such a piecemeal way that you might not even know this is like the same song, but like it's just, but it is the song.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. Like, so for me, the most interesting thing would be how I'd love to see how they compile all that data. And yeah, man, if I'm an artist, I'm definitely getting on this platform just to kind of see how it's done. I'm pretty sure they're going to try and they did say there's going to be a process to upload your music and also pitch for promotion beforehand. So that's gonna be a thing. I don't know how successful that will be though, because whenever people see sponsored content on TikTok, it doesn't necessarily go down very well. People are stubborn. They like don't get me wrong, people fall for marketing, but they don't like
all the time.
They don't like marketing that they don't like marketing that looks like marketing.
Yeah.
Because the labels will always pay for creators to create trends and stuff like that. So you end up consuming that content anyway, but you don't know that it's paid for. And people will prefer that when you know that something has been paid for and it says sponsored at the bottom left. You don't want to see that stuff.
You don't know how
why?
fast I swipe away from a sponsored and AI generated two things. I'm like, I just automatically
immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, man. So yeah. So I don't know how successful that aspect of things will be. I think the music industry in general is going to stick to covertly paying creators to launch campaigns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think the analytics aspect of things is going to be really interesting. So can't wait to use this platform.
When it comes to Africa.
This used to be it's gonna be when, but like in a few years.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was gonna say this used to be a dancing app. The people used to dance on
this was for
app,
dance
man.
Now the music industry has been run.
Who knew?
Not been run, obviously, but then it's so important to artists and artistry. It's incredible.
Anyway, shout out to TikTok, man. So speaking of artists and the music that they release, do you want to go to the music that came out this week?
Let's do it.
Easy. All right, so let me start. I want to start by saying this week I purposed to watch more music videos and really impressed by what I saw. So Watendawili finally dropped the music video to Beba with Zinia Manasseh. Really, really fire. Bro, Watendawili are insane. Anyway, they're on an insane run. And then I watched the music video. Finally, they did a music video for Spy Up by Saru. And yeah, man. I know you people would have been tired of me singing that song when it came out. So I feel kind of vindicated that they finally
put out a video.
did a music video for it.
The video is your vindication.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my vindication, man. I was clamoring for a video.
Clamoring.
So I'm happy they did that.
Clamoring. No one ever clamors for anything.
So a new release, I was clamoring. A new song that came out this week was Kamini by Maandy. She also released a video. Shout out to Ben47. That video is sick in my opinion. And I believe Toxic Lyrically also released the video to Hood. So shout out to them. The other songs I listened to was Pretty Girl by Fena. I really liked the hook to that, so shout out to her. Bien and Diamond collaborated on Katam. Those are two of East Africa's giants.
Yeah.
And I saw a little bit of people kind of... This goes again to expectations. People wanted something different, but me personally, I didn't mind it. It was a light-hearted song. Bien was on there saying he loves y'all's foreheads, so I don't know how y'all feel about that. But Shout out to BN.
Yep.
Then there was Gone by Njerai and Preston Pablo. I didn't know exactly how to feel about it when I saw the snippet, but actually listening to the entire song, I like it. I like it a lot. So shout out to Njerai. I think it's produced by Kobe Worldwide. So shout out to him. Then there was I already mentioned Kamini. There was Sabina Joy by Joeface. Joeface has been releasing a lot of music lately. I also listened to Nyambura by Modest Chabari. Largely known for producing some of the amazing music you listen to with Kinoti. And he's been very, very consistent with recording his own music. And I listened to... What else did I listen to? Dance Nami by Malosh and Dovuku. And lastly, I would like to shout out Kipekele by Angel Prayon and Id Aziz. I said lastly, but actually my actual lastly is Funny by Casey and Chi.
Sounding like a Pentecostal preacher. The last point. No, it's not a Pentecostal Baptist. The last point, and then you go for the next 3 hours.
Okay, no. Wow. So you've just called me boring on the podcast.
No, that's not
that's
what...
actually...
You see, you're the one who came with... You're
That's
the one who came...
insane.
I didn't... Those 3 hours could be the best 3 hours of your life. I didn't say they are going to be boring. Why do you assume that it's boring?
Typically, those 3 hours are not the best 3 hours of your life. So that's cap. You're now lying to me. You're actually playing with my intelligence right now. Like, do you think I am... Wow, Sam, that's actually horrible.
I'm sorry.
That's actually horrible, man. But I wanted to shout out KC, man. I haven't listened to the project yet, but he released a project called Before I Was Born. Love the cover. It's his parents and him as a toddler. And man, I listened to Funny though, and that's a really, really good song. The production is sick. I can see on the album he has Maeta, so I can't wait to listen to that song. Man, that's what I listened to.
Yeah, just a couple of... I listened to those, and then I just want to shout out Golden Sun by One Down and Kuzo. Shout out to him. B Mello also dropped a project. It's good to see people releasing music, and apart from that, it's just most of what you had listened to. For the episode though,
hold on. Before we even go to that, sorry, and then I'm the Pentecostal. Running by DJ Mura, Big Nyags and Njiru. Yeah. I have to shout them out for that. It's the year of the Unts, man.
Yeah, the year of the Unts.
Like, who are we? Who are we if we don't report on that? Oh, also,
you're such a Pentecostal. Such a preacher, man. Go ahead, preach.
So there's this Afro electronic song that came out, and it's by this group called A Freak Like Me. The song is called Are You a Freak? And it's Sam. I'm telling you, it's so catchy. So one of the lead singer, I would say she isn't a singer per se on that song anyway. It's kind of like a catchy phrase where she's like, "Are you a freak? It's getting hotter." It's so catchy. Honestly, y'all need to listen to that. But sorry, I'm done now for you.
Okay. I don't believe you, but it's fine. We'll keep going. What was I doing? Introducing the song we're playing. We're going down to Asum Garvey and djprodluigi. Asum is I really enjoy. I enjoy when he gets into his Swahili bag, which is kind of what he did on the song. The song is called Sikutext Leo. There's some storytelling in here. It's one thing I think Kenyans do really well with their music is contextualizing just the general culture and turning that into music. Like Bien does that a lot. A bunch of other artists do that, and I think he's also managed to do that a little bit with the song. On the bouncy melodic beats from djprodluigi. So the song we'll be playing for you today is Asum Garvey and djprodluigi, and the song is called Sikutext Leo.
Sikutext Leo, sina ubaya. Nimechoka na kupepo ufala. Ukiko niko busy on the wire. Hiyo bridge iko band vibaya. Sikutext Leo, sina ubaya. Nimechoka na kupepo ufala. Ukiko niko busy on the wire. Hiyo bridge iko band vibaya. Unanipandisha mlima, take a hike. Inabidi ni kughost ndo ni fly. Si rahisi uko stuck on my mind. Ulifanya ni do things missy like. Manzi kitu lakini tu shida tupu. Nina hangi inabidi ni kunywe suku. Inabidi kidogo nijiheshimu. Nimechomanga vibaya juu ya mtu. Nikijitoa anajuanga ni joke. Niko back like I never been gone. But forever tulisema before. Say never again with force. Sikutext Leo, sina ubaya. Nimechoka na kupepo ufala. Ukiko niko busy on the wire. Hiyo bridge iko band vibaya. Sikutext Leo, sina ubaya. Nimechoka na kupepo ufala. Ukiko niko busy on the wire. Hiyo bridge iko band vibaya. Ulisema you are never like that. Lakini like that don't turn out to be like. Ulisema wezi fanya like that. Lakini that guy ali turn out to be right. Nimekuwa nikingoja unitext, we kumbe uko safe, unabakiza maguest. Najibwagizia shida na ma-stress, juu niko na kapenga, natakwa na the rest. Ukini beep sai sitakupigia, sitakupatia, najiangalia. Kama ni fate tapatana my dear, for now we share, away from here. Sikutext Leo, sina ubaya. Nimechoka na kupepo ufala. Ukiko niko busy on the wire. Hiyo bridge iko band vibaya. Sikutext Leo, sina ubaya. Nimechoka na kupepo ufala. Ukiko niko busy on the wire. Hiyo bridge iko band vibaya.
That was Sikutext Leo, Asum Garvey, djprodluigi. That is a really cool song. I love the melody in it, and shout out to him. And shout out to him. Looking forward to seeing whether they have more collaborations on the way together and individually.
Shout out to Asum, man. This is one of the Shrap legends. Yo, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to 135 episodes of this podcast. If you're new here, I like to end the podcast with the 3 C's, which is kind of a mantra that I assigned to myself to kind of get better, because I am in no means a perfect human being. What are the 3 C's, you ask? Well, number 1, confidence. You have to be confident in your art. When you project a sense or a feeling of confidence, people kind of feel more inclined to listen to you. So always be confident. Number 2, consistency, both in how you create and how you release your work. If you slack in this era where everybody is doing something, and by the way, everybody is also super talented nowadays. So if you're just slacking and you're not consistent, you will end up being forgotten. But I do have to tell you, consistency beats talent every day. That's my opinion on that. And lastly, craft. Always work on your craft. As a creative, I understand you have to do multiple things to kind of sustain the creative or your creativity, because a lot of times it's hard to monetize. And you might end up being burnt out and not have too much time to dedicate to your creativity all the time. But everybody has 5 minutes. So if you have 5 minutes, work on building your creative outlet. Read something, watch something. Always strive to improve, because those 5 minutes will end up adding up in the end. And that, guys, is... Yeah, that's the 30% episode. Podcast in a nutshell, man. It is. Sam?
Yep.
It's been a pleasure recording with you today. What an amazing day, I must add. Amazing day for podcasting, if I do say so myself.
Hey, it happens.
And with those few words, we will see you guys.
With those few words and lack of context.
100. Oh yeah, there's no context there. I'll have you guys I don't know. Speculate. But no. Everything's good. Or is it? We'll see you guys on episode 136.
Goodness.